Guys, I want to get loud all of a sudden. I'm
Do it.
sorry. I'm want to.
It's you. I knew it was coming.
I'm sorry, guys.
Can't
but I
hold 'em
need
back.
to do that.
It is. You feel like Poseidon chucking that bugger down in the water.
Sucking that bugger. Did you butt out that deer?
I did not butt out that deer, but the next one I get,
Okay.
it's getting its butt out.
Is that little Stevie out here in the back?
Drobop. Bow drop, I'm sorry. Drobop. Hello. Stay tuned. I'll be back after my seizure.
Every little chipmunk that was running around, everything's dead quiet, and I went, like, that just happened.
Just happened.
I saw what is in essence a nature-gasm.
Welcome back to another Sonic Campfire, boys. Happy to be around this table with you all. We have an exciting night, but first, who is with us tonight?
Hey, I'm Ryan.
Hey, everybody. I'm Brad.
Brad is here.
It's been a while.
Whoa, welcome back, Brad.
Love it.
It's Phil Buckman. You can call me Bucky.
There he goes.
I'm Catfish.
And this is Dave. So, guys,
Or Deaky.
or Deaky, or DK,
I think he just
or
called himself
Dave.
Deaky.
Did we just breaky?
We brokey the Deaky.
Brokey the Dicky.
Love it.
Whatever you guys want to say. But we have a guy that I've been following for a while on YouTube and Instagram, and he does some incredible outdoor stuff, and then he also takes it to another level.
Like doing it in the last 6 hours?
Yes, but like his aftercare of the, and I'm gonna say it, trophy
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
is phenomenal. So not only does he does great videos on the hunt, on the adventure, he wraps it up and shows you, the viewer, how to capture that
Get to it, Deke.
and keep it on the wall.
Come on.
We have Ryan Olsen from Whitebone Creation on the line. How you doing, Ryan?
I'm doing good, man. You made me feel a little bit like a celebrity there. That was pretty exciting.
Well,
Ryan, you are, man.
you have over 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. You're pushing up on that 150 mark. So of course you're a little bit of a celebrity. So
And he has the greatest first name in the history of first names.
I don't know about that.
Trash Panda.
No, he's got it.
Fist pound to another Ryan right there.
That's
Boom.
what I'm talking about.
No doubt.
Ryan, I was helping introduce some of the guys have already heard of you, but some of the other guys haven't. And I was saying, I was like, hey guys, I got a hold of him again today, and he happens to be elk hunting. You're driving home from being on an elk hunt with a friend, family member. Tell us about your day.
Yeah, it was kind of a crazy day. Like the rest of the world, I'm kind of ditching work today to go up.
Did you call in
help
sick?
out on it. No, I just didn't call.
Okay.
I just didn't show.
No call, no show.
Yeah, just kind of the short of this, I work as a part-time guide for a ranch just outside of LA. It's an hour out of LA, about 30 minutes from Bakersfield. It's the largest private hunting ranch in California. It's 270,000 acres, 442 square miles.
Wow. I didn't even know there was that plot of land that close to LA as a whole. So that's amazing.
It's all one piece. It's fantastic. It's called the Tejon Ranch.
Let's keep that secret out there.
Well, it is what it is. It's kind of a rich man's playground for this type of hunt. And I just wanted to be a part of it. I kind of wanted to get up there. Our bulls are bugling. They're rutting hard. And if you know elk at all, kind of the holy grail of elk is 400 inches. And we killed the first bull. I say we. The full-time guides on the ranch killed the first bull of the year last Monday. 414 inches, typical 6, no extras. And then today, that bull I just sent you the picture of, 392 inches, typical.
Wow.
Fantastic gentleman, killed it. I wanted to come up and just be a part of it, kind of film around with the camera, be able to just tell a good story, because I just don't think there's enough of that out there right now. It was just a really cool day. So I've been up since 4. I'm half foggy, and believe it or not, I'm driving down PCH with a truckload of meat and Pacific Coast Highway right on the Pacific Ocean right now, just headed home.
Oh, it sounds like a glory day.
It was.
You need a honey bun.
needs a honey bun,
Yeah,
I was gonna say.
exactly.
Stop wherever.
and get a honey bun.
Yeah, and eat, just sit on the hood of your truck and eat a honey bun, and your day will be
And
complete.
reflect.
I'm choking down my second wilderness athlete for the day. I got a pack of zingers next to me. That's kind of my go-to. I'm a yellow zinger man.
Ooh, there you go.
A yellow zinger is your honey bun because, just to let you know, after we have the most epic day in the outdoors, we like to cap it off with a honey bun sitting on the tailgate or the bumper of a truck.
Because
like
what
that.
makes an epic day even more epic?
A honey bun.
Exactly.
Or yellow
honey bun.
zingers.
Or yellow
Or
zingers.
yellow zingers now if you're driving down the Pacific Coast Highway.
Ryan,
That's
Yeah,
right.
bud. Ryan, like, started from the morning.
Yeah,
Like, you
go
said you've
for it.
been on a marathon day. I want to hear about today.
Yeah, it's a good Sonic
So-
Campfire.
Yeah, so, this, I work closely with these guys on the Tejon. One of a very close personal friend of mine, he runs the hunting operation, and I've just gotten close with these guides. I say I'm a part-time guide. I'm listed as a part-time guide, but I do very little work up there because of my time. But naturally, kind of like a cheap hunt or kind of like an epic deer hunt that everybody sees on trail cam, you all want to be there when it goes down.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And these bulls have been bugling for about a week and a half. These guys have been hunting hard for about 4 days. They've taken inventory on some really big bulls, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
This had 3 bulls that were, within inches of each other on different sides of the ranch. And if you've ever been on an elk hunt, and I don't want to sound like I'm this crazy experienced elk hunter. I've been on several, but I really have only ever killed one bull. But they roam that ranch like dinosaurs, and every hair on your body stands up when they bugle. So we got in there last night, saw this bull, and we heard another bull bugling in the trees, and we just couldn't get him to get out. We kind of sat on him till about dark, and at last light, we got a good look at him. He had a short 5th point, kind of had it all but a short 5th point, so we named him Cinco. We went and checked we went and looked for another bull this morning, wound up being a smaller management bull, passed him, and just said, hey, we got to go back and see if we can find that bull from the night before. He's definitely the one. It's kind of meant to be. And this country, California, I'll give you a little description too. You just think desert or probably think LA County and all that stuff. But this is about as steep as it gets in elevation. It's kind of studded oaks and yellow grass, lots of foxtails and wild oats. It's just rugged country. And these elk, their primary forage this time of year is the oak limbs and leaves. They'll rake the trees, they'll knock a big limb down, and they'll just pick it clean. And so it's hot. It got to 97 degrees today.
Ooh, ouch.
And these bulls will just, kind of corral these cows up underneath the shade and just work them over, and you can bugle at them and they'll sound back, but you can't see them. And we just happened to get lucky where the guide Steven had got a glimpse of him, and we were able to get around on the road, and the gentleman laid down. I mean, it's center frame, bullet flies into the boiler room, bull wads up, we're high-fiving. It was just one of those epic days. The bulls that come off this ranch are probably the heaviest bulls in the world, meaning weight-wise. So this bull is probably crowding that 1,200-pound range.
Yeah,
It was like a cross between a mule deer and a bison. That bull was like,
there's different subspecies of elk, correct? Like there's
Yeah,
the Roosevelt, there's the Rocky. What is this?
So this is a Rocky,
Okay.
and I'll just give you the backstory of this on these bulls in California. So there was a neighboring property up in the Tehachapi mountain range up there. A guy in the 60s bought a bunch of elk from Yellowstone, put them on the ranch, and he was going to farm them. Well, not even, it was adjacent to this ranch. And the story goes that there was a big fire, and they got over the fence, got onto us, and now we've got a population of elk that's between 400 and 600 strong.
Oh, wow.
And they've just grown, and people will get all fussy, other elk hunters, but the truth is they've grown to be the biggest bulls in the States. Highest scoring bulls, and I believe it has to do with endless amounts of feed, lots of water, and no winter. So they never undergo that winter stress. They never, they just never run into that. Like you get in the big western states like Colorado, a harsh winter will just
lack of food. They can't eat.
Yeah, just stunt a bull.
It's like bass in Florida.
Growing season never ends.
Absolutely. Yeah. It never runs. It's that warm water. They're constantly growing. Of course, that Florida strain up there, that F1 is just it's a different animal itself. But yes.
Well, I bet that has. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No. And just talking the other species. So your Roosevelt's like Oregon, Washington, which are a smaller horn set than the Rockies, but a heavier bull, just body-wise. And then we have our coastal elk, which is kind of exclusive to California, and that's that Thule elk. And they're just smaller all the way around. So this is just a little patch of Rockies that kind of live on us and some of the adjacent properties.
That's definitely unique. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool. And the ranch is the only place that are really hunted. It's part of a PLM, a private land management program. So they work with Game and Fish. They only kill 12 bulls a year, or 12 total elk, 1 cow. I think there's 6 trophy and 5 management or something like that. It's kind of the spread. And it's just, I try to give you a good example, but it'd be like growing up just hunting deer in South Texas, right? So you'd have a bad bearing on what a good whitetail looks like if all you ever saw was 160-inch deer. Kind of how this is. These guys are waffling around like, oh, that one's only 389, or that one's. I'm like, what? But it's a special thing, and it's always an honor for me to be a part of any hunt, whether I'm like in this situation, kind of self-invited myself down there to help, and it's just cool to live that experience with somebody, especially an elk of that class.
Yeah.
And they're just getting started, man. They're just getting started.
I know this might be a sidetrack real quick. We don't have to go far into it, but with a ranch this big and elk on that, being in California, do you have any mountain lions on your property?
Yeah, there's quite the mountain lion problem on there.
I figured so.
And it's horrible. It's probably going to be the detriment to our deer, and we're just knuckleheads. When they passed that bill, whatever it was, I think it was Crowden 20 years ago, to protecting them. It just was a bad move.
So
there should have been a checkbox that said, protect the lion and destroy the deer. Or, you know what I mean? Like, you had to choose, like, yeah, you're willing to get rid of your deer.
Well, it sounds almost like you have a mountain lion buffet and like pristine, beach area. Like, it sounds like they have the most perfect spot on your property to just chill.
Yeah, and so for our listeners, Ryan, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but 20 some years ago, the state voted to 100% protect mountain lions in the state of California.
Yeah.
Right? Like no hunting at all. It wasn't like, you lost the ability to hunt with dogs. It's
all of it. And the bill is even worse. So let's just say I run over to southern Utah, hire a guide, kill one with dogs. I can't legally with proper documentation drag one piece of that lion back into the state without breaking the law.
Wow.
Nobody read it. I shouldn't say nobody read it.
Not even if it's taxidermied in Utah.
Don't matter.
Wow.
Yeah. It's the worst thing we could have possibly had happen to us. So, at the time we were killing, and I'm just going to use rough numbers and somebody could fact check it, but, at the time when we were hunting them, managing them, paying for the resource, we killed about 300 lions a year. We're still killing 300 lions a year, but now the state is paying to fix problem lions, abundant lions, and so it just went opposite of everything that it's supposed to be done.
Triple is expensive.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just classic example of ignorance.
I didn't mean to bring it up so we can continue.
No, you're right. It's a good point.
It's a very good point.
Yeah.
Ryan, we around this podcast table as R2, we like to say that we are bringing sexy back to Pennsylvania for hunting and fishing, and we definitely see that with you in California. Can you just give more of a description of where you're at, what kind of hunting and fishing you're able to do?
Wait a minute. Now, in Pennsylvania, R2 is sexy. I'm not so sure we got the California bodies for it. We can't help Ryan out on that.
I'm pretty sure I could fit in Bakersfield.
Oh, yeah.
Norco, Bakersfield. No, I'm rocking that dad bod. You're never gonna catch a selfie in a shirt off with me.
I look a little more like 9021 No.
No.
Oh, I like that.
Well, it was funny because we just did a podcast before this one, and I was telling the guys last week I was in Barbados, and we were on like an all-nude beach, and I was the only guy there with clothes on because I wasn't competing with the people from Barbados. That was for sure.
If you put on a G-string and look like a rubber band on cauliflower,
they'd be like exactly. That dude's from Pennsylvania. That's what they'd be saying.
I'm with you, brother. I'm with you.
That's one of them Pennsylvania boys. I can tell by the hide.
You can tell by his flannel pants.
That's awesome. So you were just saying, like, a little background on me, like where I'm at, and is that what you were saying?
Yeah, like how you grew up in the outdoors. Or were you always in California? What are you getting into in your area of California?
Yeah, no, I'll give it to you kind of quick. So born and raised in Southern California, literally coastal Southern California. I've always been 10 minutes from the beach. I currently live in Huntington Beach, so I'm right on the coast. And if you follow some of my Instagram, we share some fishing pictures and stuff. Most of that is happening right in Los Angeles and Long Beach Harbor.
So you're catching those are I can't even say it.
Calicos, sandies, and spotties. Yeah, they're all like, and they're actually not called a calico in the regs. They're listed as a kelp bass.
Okay. But that's right in LA.
Los Angeles and Long Beach Harbor, which is the world's largest harbor. And we just run out after work at midnight, and we just run into the harbor. We fish under the lights, and it's an amazing fishery. You guys ever get out to the West Coast, you look me up, and I'll put you on some fish.
Well, that sounds like an invite. I like it.
That's an invite. You're always welcome. So born and raised kind of right here in SoCal. I've been in Huntington for like 25 years. Married 21 years, 2 beautiful children, a wife that supports my crazy, which is hard to beat. And so I was kind of raised up in a sportsman family. Our annual hunt was the dove hunt. We went to Yuma, Arizona every single year and hunted doves as a family. But my dad hunted big game with friends, and it was kind of his chance to get out of town and just do his thing. So he wasn't dragging kids with him. I'm the middle of 3 boys, and I just happened to be that kid that was just struck with it. All I ever wanted to do was hunt and fish. I didn't care about anything else. So I was kind of always enamored with it. And my dad's best friend, Bud, he could see it in me, and he would take my dad hunting. And by the time I was old enough, maybe that 15 and a half, 16 before I got my license, the day they handed me the keys, there was no critter that was safe. That was just what I was going to do. So I hunted, right here. I'm in Orange County. If you guys are familiar with the Housewives of Orange County, it's different.
The OC,
a little different than my world, but that was literally filmed right on our coast.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
So it's right. I never did see it. I always make the reference, but I never did see the show.
Good for you.
So, but I kind of grew up chasing quail in our local mountains. Believe it or not, we do have quite a bit of national forest. You better be double tough to get around in it. It needs a big burn. I know nobody would want me to say that out loud, but the truth is we should burn it up. It's covered in manzanita. We have small coastal Pacific blacktail that run our mountains. They're the Harvard of deer. They'd be the closest They act as smart as a whitetail, and they have mountainous terrain. But that's kind of what I grew up doing, is chasing quail and running those mountains looking for deer. And the day I graduated high school, I just wanted out of California, as you can imagine. And so I moved to Oregon for 3 months with an older brother. I'm the middle of three. And I lived up there just having an odd job building like what they call SSTs, sweet smelling toilets. It's kind of like a portable toilet system. And it was just work. And I had a shotgun and a rifle. And again, nothing was safe in Oregon. And we were chasing skunks and foxes and coons and nutria and everything that we were legal to shoot, we were chasing. And my dad for years was traveling to Wyoming with my friend Bud, or his friend Bud, and hunting deer and antelope. And I was just looking to do something different. They made a couple phone calls, and I moved back home for a week, jumped on a plane, and I moved to Wyoming. And that's where I feel like I kind of become an adult and a sportsman in the state of Wyoming. I was roughnecking. I was drilling uranium with these guys. We were 2.5 hours out of town, and I had a pickup, had a spotlight, and it was a free-for-all. Back there you can spotlight coyotes and fox and coons and everything else. And I guess I was in my teens, and I was just trying to cut my teeth. I was just trying to get it done. Yeah. Punch the card. I always use the analogy of, when you're young and you want a credit card, you can't get a credit card until you got credit. And it's like, wait a minute, what? How am I going to get credit if I, so same old thing. I was trying to be somebody by shooting. I was learning, and that first summer, although I was green as anything, I went to work for an outfitter up there for a couple of weeks. He was overbooked with deer and antelope hunters. And it's just in me. I was all in no matter what. Hunting was hunting, and I didn't care how to do it. I just wanted to do it. And I went to work for him, and he kind of showed me the ropes, really gave me some direction. And to be honest, from that point forward, I never wanted to do anything else. Lived in Wyoming for 3 years. Guided hunters a little bit, hunted for myself a whole bunch, just really learned what to do, how to do, made a bunch of mistakes, did a bunch of stuff right, fell in love with my wife, moved back home. I still make that trek to Wyoming every single year, most years twice, and just kind of settled in here, started a family, and I missed that good property. I missed those good opportunities, and I just looked for it in everything I could do. And that's kind of when I found the Tejon Ranch through a friend. And I've been running around those hills for the last 15 years, and every place else. And I guess maybe a segue into this is I always toted a camera with me. Everywhere I ever went, I took a camera, because I wanted to kind of capture that moment. Yeah. I wasn't the kid that was 2 or 3 years old sitting in the deer stand with dad, although I would have loved it. It just wasn't what it was. So I felt like I kind of had some catching up to do. Whether I ever articulated that or not, I just felt like, man, I got to get it done. And then when I got to Wyoming, I just kind of wanted to share it with my brothers and my family. I'm like, man, you guys wouldn't believe what I saw today. I saw 2 golden eagles pick up a fawn antelope and drop it 10 times, and then pecked his eyes out and ate him alive. And they're like, no, you didn't. I'm like, watch the film. And then, and that was long before YouTube. So you just mail off a Super 8 tape to your brother, and he'd be like, it's so grainy, you can't tell what's happening. And, and just stuff like that. But I was always...
Those eagles look a lot like groundhogs. What are you talking about?
Yeah, you're crazy, man. That's roadkill. But yeah,
and that fawn looks like your thumb.
Yeah, you weren't even recording. Just sounds like wind. But it was just I just lived such a huge part of life. I was kind of up there by myself. When I wasn't working, I was hunting. Half of my paycheck went to ammunition, shooting prairie dogs, getting good with a rifle, calling coyotes, just the promised land. Hunting shed hunting before it was cool, I say,
Yeah.
Well, you said something earlier that caught my attention. What's a nutria?
Oh, yeah.
Nutria, we called them nutriad. They look like a magnum muskrat. and they live up there in that Northwest Territory. They're super invasive.
We don't have. They don't have nothing like that. Right?
Don't they live down in New Orleans and stuff too, right?
Yeah, they're big down in the south.
They're like a big rat.
Yeah.
They're like a big rat. Yeah. They're kind of cool. You know, they were raised at some point for the fur market.
They tried to make it a fur market animal, and then it never really took off. But they breed like crazy and just kind of took over areas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It never took off, but somebody forgot to tell the nutrient.
It's like someone trying to do an emu farm, you know, like, oh, we're going to make all this money, and then they just get lazy and just let the emus aren't going to be like an invasive species where they
because they don't breed as quick.
Right. I mean, they get hit by tractor trailers, right? But those nutrients will scare you.
I drilled a water well for a guy that was raising the emu for his idea was it was going to replace the beef market.
Right.
And I was like, hey, you got an uphill battle, brother.
I'll gladly drill this well for you, though.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Did he pay you in emu steaks?
No, I wish he would have. Yeah. Hey, a fun fact about emu: did you know that it's like the highest quality oil of any animal in the world comes off an emu?
Yeah, I don't know, but I ate an emu burger once. It was amazing.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's the only bird that's got 2 feathers from one quill as well.
Huh.
And they're just dodo birds, man. They run around, they hook each other's necks, they flop on the ground, it's crack up.
Well, speaking of eating animals, you were saying about how the elk that are on that ranch that you're at, because they're not stressed, because they don't have to go through that winter, do they get like is their meat a little bit more marbleized? Is it a little bit more like a beef than it is like up north where they have to go through the hard winter, not as tough and lean?
No, I don't think so. Not really. I think because they're wild, they don't get that that wagyu look, I call it. They don't get like that. They just get weighty, super weighty. Like, I mean, it was just a couple hours ago we just broke down that bull, and there was very little fat on him. But he was just, I mean, you get a backstrap that weighs 35 pounds, right?
There's a FedEx guy. I'll give you my address.
We're going to red label that. But yeah, no.
I'll give you extra for the dry ice.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a 2-man project to take a hindquarter off and lift it into a game bag. And it's just amazing the size. It's daunting.
I remember the first time I broke down a Yukon bull, and I didn't know what I was doing with the guide, and he was teaching me, and I just it wraps your head around an animal that's that size, of like when you break down a whitetail versus an elk or a moose, caribou even. It's ridiculous the size of the parts that come out, and they're just going That's a liver, huh?
It's polarizing. The difference is crazy. A little side note that I don't share on YouTube, but I save their nut sacks and I make them into koozies.
You would so get along with DK. DK likes to make soap out of whitetail. So.
Yeah, I just made a batch of soap out of venison tallow.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah, man.
That's odd. The nice thing about an elk scrot is you can make it like a long neck bottle.
Oh my!
I kid you not, man.
So we have our editor, our main guy, Will Miser's 40th birthday is coming up. We really, I'll pay you for one of those if you can get us one of those.
Yeah,
the next scrapper that I get, you just send me an email and I'll tanner, and I won't even wash it. So when he puts that long neck to his bottle, he'll get that ruddy ring.
I love. Yeah. Will, happy 40th birthday! Here's a nutsack.
Koozie.
Oh, that's incredible.
That skunky Heineken thing right up to his mouth there. It's perfect. Yeah, sorry, I got a little off track.
Oh no, that's podcast gold. Thank you.
Good times. So I can't remember where we were, but
I don't remember.
Yes,
that's all right.
So that meat is typical. Those bulls are just big. Meat flavor and everything is terrific, but the bulls that they're killing on the ranch, everything gets aged. We cut the 2 bottom teeth out and send it to the state, so they're killing on average 8 and 9-year-old bulls.
Oh, wow.
So they're letting them get to that age. They're kind of doing everything right. And
Yeah, sounds like a perfect management experiment.
Sure.
they just do a fantastic job. The ranch is very, very cognizant of what they're doing. They're letting these bulls get to age. I get up there and I want to shoot all of them. I'm like, just kill that one. He's a giant. Kill that. And they're like, no. No.
He's coming right for me.
Yeah, get him. So, but it's fantastic. And if I do get the head nod to share any of that, I'll absolutely post it. This particular gentleman that was hunting, he didn't know I was going, didn't know I was filming, other than, I said, hey, would you want to see the information? Would you want to see it? And he's like, sure.
Yeah.
But he's kind of indifferent toward the hunting thing, or toward the filming thing, as to where I'm like, I think every hunt should be filmed and shared. The more, well, I'm gonna get off topic, but
no, go for
there's
it.
two sides. There's two sides of this world, or three sides. There's the anti side, which we're not changing, and then there's the pro hunting side, which they ain't changing. But there's this big old gap in the middle.
Yeah.
And the group that puts out the most quality content is the group that's going to win. And right now, they're louder than we are, because so much of what's out there, for lack of better terms, is kind of that Bubba information. It just looks like we're all out just blazing up every critter that ever was, and it's so not the case. We're taking a tremendous amount of money. Everything is regulated. We're doing it by the books. We're enjoying it. We're doing it respectfully. We're feeding our families, and that story has to be told. So when I'm around those people and we're doing that, I'm like, please let me share it with the world. Let me share it with them.
People don't realize that there's thousands of hours and thousands of dollars and and thousands of sleepless hours of dreaming of your passion before the trigger's even pulled. Like, it's not. They're just not walking out and pulling a trigger. Like, there's so much.
And
that's a whole podcast in itself. Yep.
Yeah, it's 1 second of the whole thing, right? It's the very reason we're all on the phone tonight, right? It's because we've got this common core, and that's what it is. And we believe in animals first, and that's what created the friendship. And it's hard to articulate it to somebody that wants to push back, but for the guy that's on the fence, like, well, as long as they're eating it, it's one of those, you need to understand that's not just because it's a mandatory thing. Like, that's a choice. You got to get the big picture, and it's really difficult to tell that and reach those audiences. That's why platforms like what you're doing right now is so special. And
same to you though, with your videoing and being on YouTube like you are, you definitely are reaching that audience, and you're giving the animal the respect it deserves, and giving the quality of humane, ethical, sportsman conscious hunting.
It's not just hunting. One of the biggest things in our world today as human beings is overfishing. So, like, this is a hunting and fishing podcast.
Yep.
I don't mean to sidetrack, but there are so many people in this world that just because you can keep 50 crappies a day and you're like retired, don't mean you have to keep 50 crappies a day.
Yeah,
or
right.
We go down to the river catfishing for these monster catfish, and there'll be guys with John boats with like 20 catfish in their boat. You can't possibly eat all that before you freeze it,
Right. Yeah.
And then and they're out there every night. So there is a line there between. There is a line there between people who want to take and want to do conservation.
You bet.
Yeah.
You bet. Yeah. No, and I think that message just needs to be told, and obviously you recognize it with that particular guy that probably more than anything wants to tell his buddies, hey, man, I got 20 big old cats in the boat, right? Instead of saying, hey, I'm gonna drag a couple home, I'm gonna leave a couple for the next trip, and
to me, I think that's where the beauty of photography and videography comes from, is now you can say, I caught 20 cats last night, but I don't have to take them home in a John boat to prove it.
Yeah, you bet. You bet. Yeah.
I'd rather make a film and throw them all back.
Heck yeah. Except you don't want your buddies to see your spot. That's my biggest issue with.
Camera angles are everything, boss.
Oh yeah,
I've learned many, many times to camera angle the bank. I've filmed the same rock many, many times, and And nobody knows where that rock is because it's not exactly where I caught my fish. I just went down there to take the film.
Ryan, he's taken the phone out of my hand and deleted pictures from my camera roll because I took the wrong angle.
Don't get that bridge in the background now.
I believe it. I believe it. And you know what? We just did, and you may want to incorporate it, but you know, I'm running this this older Ranger, right? 22-foot Ranger, and in the pole holders in the back, we built 2 6-foot uprights that sit in the pole holders right on the back, and then we stretch a green screen across the back. We just did it the other day for the first time.
You are
Take
the
those
man.
pictures.
I'm learning.
Take those pictures and then just chroma key. Gone. I could be in the pyramids fishing. I could be.
You're on the Las Vegas Strip. You're on wherever.
Dude,
Oh, man, I wish I had the enthusiasm this guy does. I need to learn.
I could be in Pennsylvania in the whitetail fields on a food plot catching largemouth, and nobody would know the difference.
So much more effort than running 100 yards up the
That
river
sounds
going, this looks
amazing.
good
Where'd
here.
you catch that? Center stage and scores.
Yeah.
Look at me.
Yeah,
Football
we need to
field and the Steelers.
we need to pioneer the maybe we should take that to market. Maybe we have to edit that, and we'll take it the bold green screen to market.
Just say patent pending.
Oh yeah, there we go. Then they won't chase it.
Trademark.
Then they won't chase it.
So Ryan, another big thing other than, of course, you're videoing and showing hunting in a better light is the European mounts of all these different animals. I mean, you've gone through. I mean, is there an animal out there that you haven't been able to do that to and video it?
Yeah. There's a few. Matter of fact, there's a request list, and I'll give you an idea how kind of odd my following is. I just broke 1,000 requests. I've been keeping tally for a long time now, a year and a half. 1,000 requests for a human head. And at first I thought it was a joke, right? I thought, they're just kidding. But it's like they're dead serious. And so my response is just turn on any Law and Order program on TV and they'll show you how to do it, right? Because that's piped right into your living room for your kids to see.
Yeah.
But when we're doing it correctly, trying to show a life skill or a way to preserve and respect a trophy, we kind of get demonetized. But that really was the piece for me that kind of catapulted me up a little bit. And we've shared hunting stuff. We'd get views, especially to the hunters. They would watch, depending on what level they were in, they would watch for a kill shot. Or, I always try and close a hunt in prayer out of respect, whether people are believers or not. And some people, the older crowd waited for that. And then some people like the cinematography. Some people like the close-up B-roll stuff. So it was real eclectic. And then when I posted how to European a pig skull, because a buddy said, hey, man, would you put something up so I want to try it at home? I'm like, yeah. So I put it up, and it was this overwhelming response. And I kind of let it roll for a little while, and then I put up how to do a deer skull or a deer head, and it was one of those things. It was like, man, these people want it. They're thriving on it. And we would get into, I do a jackrabbit. Guys like, can you do a cottontail? I'm like, it's the same thing, man. It's the same product. And they were like, I just want to see it. And I'm like, okay. So there was a group that just wanted to watch. There was a group that wanted to learn. And then there was a very, very young crowd that needed something to kind of complain about. You're horrible. It's animal abuse. And I said, it's not abuse if they're dead. We're long past the abuse part, and we're doing it respectfully. But to get to anything beautiful, there's got to be a little ugly in it, and that's the part we were sharing. And I love an opportunity, to just show a new animal. Like when I did the gator video, I had never done a gator. Yeah. I was like, yeah, I'll give it a go. But I'm going to do a nutria. I had a guy reach out to me from Oregon, said, how many you want? I'm like, how many you got? Send them.
I don't know if I got a neat one for you to try. I don't know if you have the species of catfish out there called a flathead. Do you have a flathead?
We don't.
How about a blue?
No. We don't have blues either, so we've got like muds and channels. And,
if you get yourself, maybe I'll trade you for an elk stick. I'll send you a blue cat head.
Perfect.
It works really good. It works really good with a flathead. Not all channel cats, not all catfish have this, but and not many, I don't know if many people know it, but since you're into skulls, and if you actually boil off a flathead skull or a blue cat skull, and then you disassemble the top of the skull very gently, there's an actual crucifix with a Jesus hanging on the cross inside the skull of a blue cat.
No kidding.
And it will pull out, and you can bleach it and hang it on the wall, and you can see Jesus on the cross. I know I've done it. I've boiled off the head myself and done it.
No kidding.
Yep, it's very cool. It's a lot of work because it's a ton of work to boil off a catfish head to begin with.
Oh yeah.
A few beers you
Good
can get it
soup,
done.
though.
But actually, when you get a chance to Google it, there's some images online of put blue cat, Jesus, whatever, and
That's crazy.
it's just it's a cool, fun Sunday thing if you're gonna go ahead and eat a flathead anyhow.
Yeah, no, I'll look it up. I love stuff like that, right? It's so funny. You guys being from where you're at, you get it. But I had somebody drop off a coon one day that was raccoon. I have to be clear on that. Big old boar coon. And so I dug his baculum out of there, right? Nice way of saying his pecker bone. And people are like, no, what are you doing? I can't believe that's in there. And I even joked in the film that I stir mixed drinks with it, and but people didn't realize it, but that's a fantastic little trophy, right? The guys from the South, man, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Right? The old pecker bone toothpick, I guess is what they
Some
use.
are bigger than others, man. I mean, it's,
Dude, yeah.
Some
this
some
thing
people
was-
have bigger
this thing
gaps in their teeth than others.
this thing was magnum. Yeah, for sure. So we got again. I took it offline again. I apologize.
No, again, it's podcast gold.
our listeners will love it.
So yeah, that's how the whole skull thing started. So anytime I get an opportunity to do a new critter for whatever reason, I'll do it and post the film. And in the last 6 months, YouTube has really cracked down. They don't want us. They don't want sportsmen on their channel because of this whole adpocalypse thing. I don't know if you guys are savvy on that whole deal, but
Yeah.
essentially they were putting ads. Yeah, and so they put this whole new regulation piece in order where anything that's shocking, they don't want.
Yeah,
So I've had like 15 videos get demonetized. Now, I'm not in it for the money. I never was. But it sure made it nice if you got a couple of bucks in the mail and you're like, that's kind of cool.
Right.
But everything I've done that's got skinning, killing, or gutting has been age restricted and demonetized.
Yep.
So it kind of feels like you got knocked down because, for the gutting piece, some of those views have got 500,000, 600,000, 700,000 views, and the comments are, thanks, man. I'm going on my first hunt. This helps. We've done it for so long, so we don't really think about it. But that's important to people, and that's a resource for them to go to.
Yep.
And then even the skinning, right? People don't really get to see it every day, and
Well,
this
that's-
generation.
That's
Well, it
why-
actually does a disservice.
It does.
Because people going out and doing their first hunt, doing their thing, they will ruin a deer. They'll ruin the meat.
Yep.
They won't be able to teach. If I'm sure there's guys out there that have never killed a deer, taking their kid out for the first time,
Yep.
and that messes up their whole.
Then it's
life
not
of hunting.
enjoyable too either.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're not going to want to do it again
And-
because it was such an awful experience the
That
first
bad
time.
first experience.
Yeah.
Yep.
And this is a world of YouTube. If you don't know how to do something, pull it up and YouTube it. So why would that be any different? I don't.
Same way, man. I get a new camera. I don't get to read the owner's manual. I'm gonna let some 12-year-old kid tell me what to do, right? Because he knows it better than I do. I just go and that's what I do. And so it's kind of sad. It kind of feels like we got knocked down. The truth is, they knocked down most everybody. So if you're a little gal that's twerking, you got knocked down. If you're a guy that's filming earwax, you got knocked down. So they didn't target us, although I felt like they did. They didn't target us. They're trying to do a better job. I'm just hoping it comes around because I think it's our best platform to share on. Until there's somebody else, that's it. I mean, that's what we got.
Well, there you
and
go.
So I bet
Patent pending.
Yeah.
Ryan's
Ryan
TV.
too.
Ryan.
Ryan's
Yeah.
R&R TV. I like it.
You're doing new
R squared.
tube.
That's it, brother.
R
we got
squared.
R squared. Yeah. So yeah, it's crazy. So I've been playing with it a little bit. The last hunt I put up, we did a desert sheep hunt down there in Texas, and I showed skinning, but I didn't show the knife hitting raw meat. And I showed the kill shot, but it was way off. And there was no, fall over and kick for a minute. None of it was just boom, animal hit the ground, very respectful. And they haven't knocked it down.
Well, that's it. I mean, the editing part of it. I mean, if you do knock the animal down and it kicks for 2-3 minutes, if you cut that part out, it doesn't look as horrible to somebody. But
sure,
I get that. It shouldn't be like that for us, but it is like that, unfortunately.
Yeah. And the truth is we all been there, right? There's good situations and bad situations, and you don't want to have to relive that piece anyway. So we ought to get in the habit of not making it phony, but making it presentable. Dude,
I shot a deer in archery season a few years back. It never even knew it was hit. Arrow went straight through, and it baffled me. I thought I missed, and I bet you it didn't walk. I bet you it didn't walk off like nothing happened for 15 yards, and it fell over like it was a dream hunt.
Yeah.
And then I sat in the tree stand and looked and went, that just doesn't happen. But that back right leg went, like a sewing machine for a few seconds, and I looked and went, if I wasn't an anti-hunter, that looks really horrible. Like that's the type of stuff you don't want to put on film. So I get it, but
yeah. So I think we just have to be we got to be cognizant of what we're putting out collectively. We're not trying to put anything up that's phony. Just tell the right story.
Exactly.
Just tell the right story.
Well, I'm digging what you're doing, man. I think that in the long run here, I want to switch gears because I want to hear about what you want to do that you haven't done.
There's nothing he can want to do that he hasn't done because I'm looking at his Instagram page and
he's done it.
Like he's done it because I'm looking at and I'm surprised people didn't give you a whole bunch of crap for this. Like there's someone standing over a black or the rhino. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It don't be sorry because you have the means to be able to dart it, to tranquilize it, and be the most conservational, ethical way you can do this
with one of the most majestic animals on the planet.
Exactly,
right?
and you're doing it the right way. I'm surprised. A lot of people didn't give you a bunch of crap for that.
They probably hammered them on comments.
I didn't have much of a presence, and really on Instagram, I don't have a great foothold. I've only been there for about a year and a half or so, and I only did it because my kids said I should do it, and I love it. I genuinely love the Instagram platform. I like the people. I get very little hate there. Everybody talks about, you're doing all this stuff, all these deaths. I've never had a death threat. For whatever reason, never. Nobody's ever... I've had people mad at me forever, but never a death threat.
Well, we call that.
But that hunt there,
it's not a big deal.
Oh, Thursday, all the days that start with T.
Yeah.
So that hunt was unique, and I'll give you a great example when I put that hunt up. So I put that hunt up on YouTube, and I titled it Black Rhino Vita Darting. And within the hour, I had about 4,000 views. I got 50% thumbs up, 50% thumbs down.
Really?
Never had an equal split. They weren't watching. They were reading it or just looking at the thumbnail.
Right.
So I changed it, and I changed it to Black Rhino Alive and Healthy Because of Hunters. And I'm telling you, it's so crazy because people don't watch. It flip-flopped instantly, and whenever I get hate on that video, and I try and respond to every comment. It's getting way harder, but I try and respond to every comment. I said, hey, did you watch the video? And he's like, no, I didn't watch it. I don't want to see a rhino get killed. And I'm like, watch it. He's not getting killed. And I said, because of that, that's a privately owned rhino. The guy owns a bunch on private lands in South Africa. Rhinos are thriving. They're fantastic. They're as easy to raise as beef. They're super, super resilient. You only hear the negative because of the poaching on essentially not public lands, but the parks.
Right.
Poaching in Africa is an industry. So if you told me, hey man, I'm a plumber in the States, great. If you were in Africa, you said I'm a poacher, they're like, cool, man. It doesn't hold the same weight that it does in the States. So that's where the problem lies, and that's where all the noise is being made. On private lands, they're good, but because nobody wants to kill one because of the hate, those guys develop this vita darting piece. It's like, look, I'm raising these rhinos, but if they don't have some sort of value, then I can't keep them. And so I'm going to have to destroy them. So they said, look, let's just, and I'm just going to use a rough number. Let's bring a sportsman in who essentially wants the trophy shot. He wants the experience of hunting one. It could very well be a black rhino vita darting could very well be the most dangerous hunt on planet Earth because they're double tough, they're mean, and
it's a close range.
Oh, it's like 30. It's like 30 feet, man. Yeah, it's really close. And the blacks are different than the whites. The whites are bigger and more docile. Docile's not even the right word, but they're a little more passive. The blacks just woke up pissed. They woke up pissed and they want to get you. So we slip in and shoot this thing with a dart, and that dart's got nothing but vitamins in it. And then from that point, you essentially get on the radio. You got to find this thing. You got to hunt him. You got to shoot him. They get on the radio, they put a helicopter in the air with the tranquilizer. A vet shoots him with a tranquilizer. They kind of get him all settled in. Then you take a trophy shot. They vaccinate, they inoculate, they measure horns. If there's a poaching problem in the region, they saw cut that horn. A rhino can grow that horn between like 7 and 9 times in his life. So when they cut it, it's coming back, you know? And did you guys ever see that documentary on, I think it was called Trophy Hunt or something like that, where they were talking about more people believe in the power of the rhino horn than they do Jesus Christ?
Well, yeah, it's like the most expensive thing on the black market too.
Yeah. And if it's kind of like marijuana. If you legalize, it's all good. I'm torn. It's a very delicate thing. Sure. Anyway, so for 15 grand or whatever, I don't even really know the number. We were able to slip in there, help this rhino. He may experience this once a year, maybe once every 3 years. It's not traumatizing to him. You get to give him a big boost of antibiotics. The landowner gets a little money to keep him healthy and let him breed, let him manage, police them. I mean, it's the perfect catch and release hunt. It really is.
And you're taking that horn, which
is
it keeps the poachers from wanting to shoot him.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Without that horn, he's worthless.
Right.
He's worthless, and to be honest, right, there's no fur on that thing. So if you wanted to put one in your den next to the trophy shot, a replica looks identical to the real thing.
Yeah.
It's a really good platform. So when I filmed that hunt, the guys we hunted with was Tam Safari, Tam, and I said, hey man, I really want to share that hunt. And he's like, man, it's not going to do you any good, Ryan. You're going to just get hate. It's going to bring hate down on it. I said, let me put it together my way. I'm not saying it's right. I got no film background. Just let me try. And he's been good about it. I mean, he's been really good. I don't know how many views it's got, but it's been positive since I changed the title. And it's the message that has to be told. I really wanted to tell the Cecil the Lion story while I was back there because they were going to have to go through and just wipe out their lions because the only people that buy them are Americans and there ain't no value on them. You can't bring them back into the States. They're like, well, that's that. So to where we think we were playing rule keeper on their soil was not the right answer. Not at all.
And I think that's like getting into that pond is, I think that's the downfall to a lot of people that want to hunt Africa is the fact that you can't bring any of the meat home. You can't you can't share enough. I mean, if you're going over for 10 days, I mean, you get to eat it, but I mean, you can only eat so much of it in 10 days, or whatever. So
right.
Yeah.
Did you ever? Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, to me, my wife's always wanted to go on a safari in Africa. That's one of our dream hunts. And obviously, I want to get the greater kudu. I want to get a warthog, things like that. But I want to have the experience of tasting all of it, and sharing it with the villages, and then the things that they do that are great for those animals that people don't know about.
Oh yeah.
But at the same time, I would really love to come home to my R2 brothers and be like, dude, I got greater kudu freaking backstraps. And
Right,
that's a really tough, kick in the nuts to spend all that money and not be able to bring it home. So, like
Yeah.
a lot like you not being able to bring a mountain lion into, California. That's extremely tough.
Oh, it's crazy. Yeah, it just makes you double pissed, the whole thing. And the beauty of Africa too, and I had never really had a desire to go. I went there to film a hunt. It's like a 10-part series on the YouTube channel there. And I loved it. I would go back tomorrow. I just kind of fell in with the people. It was just, again, that common ground, but got to see how they utilize those animals. We got to try everything. I was blown away because, they kept asking me, did you just smell that animal? I'm like, I did. They're like, why? And I'm like, because I can't figure out why they don't stink. Nothing up here stinks. I get a big old ruddy bull, and he just smells like nothing but piss and mud.
Yeah.
Like or glands on a big mule deer or a javelina. Ugh, yuck, right? None of their critters stunk. Their glands range from coffee grounds to sweet and low. And I was just like,
It's like in Starbucks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, it was. I'm like, yeah. They should call it the Starbucks of glands. It's fantastic.
You would hate it, then, Ryan.
So
Ryan likes to sniff tarsal gland.
That puts a
it's got a
different spin on the pumpkin spice.
It does.
Yeah, a little behind each ear and on the wrist. That's the deal. Right?
Hey, Ryan, a really awesome thing that I find in watching your footage is that a lot of times you're just trying to share somebody else's hunt and preserve their memories. A lot of times you're not the actual hunter. You're on the hunt. Right. You are part of the hunt, 100% part of the hunt. But you're preserving memories for your friends, for your family, so that they can relive the hunt. You can relive the hunt with them.
I love that too, because I totally understand that myself.
Yeah, and I think that's I've had so much opportunity because of people, and we talked about it, but I really want to share the right story, and so many of those fantastic opportunities like Africa and New Zealand all came because of special people, and I went there to capture that for them. And to be honest, the last thing I ever wanted to do was to be the guy in front of the camera. That's never how I wanted it. But I say it all the time, my motto is, respectfully capturing and preserving outdoor memories. So from filming it to putting it on the wall, that's really what we want to do respectfully, or what I want to do respectfully. And I just think that part is super important because, not everybody wants to, like this gentleman that killed this elk today, he really didn't care about the film. But I think if something ever happens to him, his kids would look back on that, and that's a special moment. That film and those trophies way outlast our bodies and our minds. So long before that, or long after that stuff goes, those pieces are there. Yeah. And I think we're capturing a moment in time. I mean, if you just look at 10 years ago, the way we hunted, the food plot thing was kind of happening, and there was the idea of trail cams was coming, and optics on tripods was a kind of a thing. Now everybody's running that stuff. Culturally, we've changed, and so to look back at some of those old, from you guys' neck of the woods, kind of that Primos, the Drury, however that is. I mean, that was cool. Those films are now vintage. It was neat to see how they did it.
Well, they kind of taught us how to manage our own little plot of land. Like we can actually manage a food plot, manage a herd. Like if we have a couple acres, we have access to. Right. And even if it's 2 or 3 acres.
Yeah. And in 10 years, I honestly think, and I can't get my head around it, but I think that story's going to progress and change again. And to be able to capture this kind of moment in time, it's like looking back if your dad or your grandfather had old film. That's just a special place, right? You're sitting around the campfire like, say you guys are doing right now. If you were watching, I'll just pick Ryan's name because he's got the best name in the group. If you were watching a bunch of his family film, it's just kind of cool, man. It's cool throwback stuff. Well, that's happening right now with us. And if we capture that, our kids are going to... I'll give you a quick example. We were just in Yuma, we had the Department of Fish and Game reach out to us and say, hey, would you guys be willing to let us film you for a public television piece? And I said, yeah, Game and Fish has a show? And they're like, yeah. We try and tell the right family message, and we like the way you guys do it. They had seen us through YouTube, which I think is a huge honor. So we got to talking and just doing a little dialogue before the hunt, and I was telling the guy that filmed us that 2 years ago, my son, at 16 years of age, hunted doves with his great-grandfather. So his great-grandfather, his grandfather, his father, all of his cousins. I mean, it's a big deal, and he couldn't get his head around it then, but he's now 19, and he's like, I can't believe how special that was, because his grandfather's not getting around at all anymore. He's never going to walk again. So to have all those photos and those memories, that was just 2 years ago, 2.5, 3 years ago. And it's just, it seems like it's worlds away. And without that piece of film and photo, that's just a story.
It is. You're absolutely right. My dad's 73. He's a double amputee. I bought him a track chair, and I pushed really hard. I really pushed through a lot of corn last year to jump him just a few does on some hard hunting rifle season here in Pennsylvania. And I caught some of his hunt on film with just a GoPro with low light last year. And when I look back and watch that on YouTube, dude, it might as well have been a 300 class buck. It was
watching that track chair pull that doe.
Watching my double amputee pull his own deer out again out of the woods was
so cool, man.
There's something inside of me that wants to like scream and celebrate and cry, and all of a sudden knowing that he's sitting around waiting right now for just 1 or 2 more days in the cold to do it again this year. It was I never thought he'd go hunting again after all them surgeries, but to be, I have the memory, but to have it on film was, it's
for your kids or the next generation or however your family is stacked. That's there, dude. That's the stuff that makes me like a little kid ball up in the corner and cry with just kind of feel good. You know what I mean?
You want to watch a really cool video later tonight when you get home? Is jump on YouTube and look up Uncle Catfish. I think I have like 56 followers or whatever. Something stupid, but scroll down.
Make it 57.
Yep.
Make it 57.
Scroll down the list, and there's a couple hunts of my father who teaches hunter education his whole life, 40 years of teaching hunter ed, archery instructor, and watch some of his hunts from this past year. I mean, they're not wonderful, but they're quick little videos, and dude, they're heartwarming. They're heartwarming.
That's good stuff.
Yeah. No, I'll absolutely watch it, man. I love that stuff, and I try with everything in me to encourage anybody, right? The whole subscriber thing, sometimes it's a gift, sometimes it's not, and every once in a while I got to pinch myself to think, oh man, I got all these followers. I don't want to make it about that. I never did, so I try not to. But yeah, I love that, and I want to encourage that because that type of content right there is invaluable. I mean, if it's got 50 hits, it's invaluable. You touched 50 people.
56 followers or 56,000. The 56 people that saw it knew what I was trying to do.
You bet.
Yeah.
You bet.
I'm sorry, Ryan, but dude, we could do this for hours. I'm almost out of time, and I have to ask you, a 50,000 foot view of your money's no object, time's no object. What is it that you would like to go hunt? Because we always ask our guests, like, what's your dream hunt?
To go chase, man, you know what? So much of that stuff has always seemed so attainable. I've never been the dreamer, like, man, I wish I could just do this one. And I'm at the point where I'm kind of living vicariously through so many people, whether they have a big wallet or whatever. But
it's the brush-tailed possum in New Zealand, isn't it?
It is. Oh man, I've thumped a pile of them already. So it is so good.
No kidding. We've seen the pictures.
That's what I wanted to ask you about, so I just had to sneak that in. I'm sorry.
How many guys have an albino wallaby?
Dude, I shot wallabies down there too, man. It is. You'll go for the red stag, but you'll come back for the possums and wallabies, man. I would love to kill a big mule deer. I've killed a lot of mule deer. I love chasing them, but those big mule deer, not necessarily even public land, but a big free range mule deer is. It is the holy grail for me. I would love to shoot a big deer. And that would be the one, big mule deer. And no different than you guys up in that whitetail country, right? There's a special bond with your deer in your area, and I'm kind of like that here.
I just like this question because it's so unique to each hunter.
Yeah.
Like everybody has this
Everybody's
weird niche, like they have this itch to scratch.
It gives a different. It definitely sheds a layer of the onion for our guests to know what their bucket list hunt would be.
Sure.
I mean, there's some guys that just want to go pheasant hunting in North Dakota, and
Right.
I want to kill a Nile crocodile. It's my bucket list. The Nile crocodile in the Mara River would be.
That's the one. That's cool.
For me, that's what I would like to do. Yeah.
That's very cool.
Ryan,
Yeah, I think if I could put together a dream hunt, I think it would be more of a be with the family doing something simple. But as far as the critter, I'm gonna take the big mule deer.
that's awesome.
So is there ever a time, I got to ask you this question too, because this is something that's really unique that I try to get my R2 guys to do a lot, because, we have thousands of like pictures that we slack on putting on social media, like, well, we'll get to it, we don't do it. We got phones full of pictures, and is there ever a time where you just go sit by the water and just don't take the camera and go, man, this day's pretty awesome. Like this is.
Oh yeah.
That's my favorite time, when I don't have the GoPro or the phone with me and sit down and go, dude, this is where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah, I spent. I'm 43, so I got 2 kids and I'm married, and we talked earlier about having the dad bod. That's me, and so I spent over 50 days on the ranch this year, no camera, just hiking hills. And I tried to log 500 miles in those mountains, and I just got it. And to be honest with you, I'm just walking.
Yeah.
I'm just walking, stretching my lung. I'm not trying to be some fit Instagram stud. I just need to go out. But that stuff to me is healing. And I'll sit down on the side of the hill because I'm gassed and sweating from every orifice on my body, and just take in a foxtail for 20 minutes and go, I'm wired different. And just knowing I'm wired different, but I'm good. No different than that guy that just needs a quick drink, or if he just needs a whatever.
Right.
I'm that guy with a little bit of dust in my lungs.
No, I get it, man, because it's the river for me. It's putting my feet in a muddy river, just watching the water go by. So I get it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. No, it's special, man. It's special, and it's hard. It's hard to articulate, right? It's either in you or it ain't.
Ryan, this has been one of my favorite podcasts, man. You're a special breed of person, and I'd like to hear back more from you. So we got to do a. I hate to say it, but we got to do an R2.
Hey, anytime you guys want to do it, you got my cell number. If I'm free, I would love to have the conversation. I appreciate what you guys are doing. I'm really glad you called. I'm really glad we were able to do it, especially on a day like today where we harvested a big bull, and just fun to share that story with your audience as well. And yeah, man, I just appreciate it. I appreciate you guys having me.
It was perfect, Ryan. Hey, can you tell our listeners where they can find more about you?
I just launched the most generic website in history because I get a lot of questions about buying shirts and hats. And
Well, I know it wasn't Ryan.com. I got that locked down.
You own that. You own that. But I just launched Whitebone. Everything is Whitebone Creations. And the name Whitebone Creations just came from us trying to get that white bone look on skulls. That's where that name came from originally, and just kind of stuck. But whitebonecreations.com, Whitebone Creations, hunting and fishing on YouTube. I don't participate much in the fishing thing these days. And then
we can
Whitebone
fix that.
Creations on Instagram. Yeah,
we can plane to fly to Pennsylvania. We can fix that.
Dude, I start getting bit and I lay the camera down. That's why most of that stuff winds up on Instagram. He's like, hey, take a picture of this one. Yeah, and we even release a little bit of silly on Instagram with the fishing. That's how we roll. But
that's perfect.
Yeah, that's how to get a hold of me. And if you want to send me an email, I'm a little slow with it, but whitebonecreations@gmail.com.
Perfect. Well, we really appreciate having you on the line, and we can't wait to talk to you again.
Yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate it, bud.
Awesome. Yep. Thank you, guys. We'll talk to you soon.
So Ryan.
Oh, Ryan. Yeah, I guess that's me.
R2 Ryan.
Ryan 1, Ryan 2.
Yeah.
Thing 1, thing 2. So Ryan, where can they find us?
Well, they can find us at RuttonRiverPursuits.com. And, of course, all of the social media properties, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Just look for Rutten River Pursuits. Don't forget to check out the YouTube channel, Rutten River Pursuits Podcast.
Correct. Jump over to Moses Family Jerky.
Oh,
I just took some of that to the Caribbean and the...
mfjerky.com.
Dude, don't try to smuggle that through TSA because it was tough.
they'll
But
catch you every time.
no, they didn't catch me, but it was tough. And I'm telling you where I put it.
You had to scratch a dog in a weird place just to get by.
Is it Jerky Pursuits 15?
Jerky
You can get
Pursuits
yourself,
15.
15% off. Jump over there, use that promo code.
Very cool.
Guys, we had Ryan on the line. We had Brad in studio tonight.
Yes.
It was another great night.
Make sure to check out Brew and View Podcast. If you
Yes.
get a chance on the
Yes.
Sauce Lounge. It's good stuff.
Awesome.
Yes.
It was a great night, guys.
Thanks, guys. We'll catch you next time. So
Rig 'em weightless.
that's it.
And keep your arm bent when you're shooting your archery.
See ya.
Right, super straight. Trash Panda Quiver.
The nice thing about an elk scrot is you can make it like a long neck bottle.
Oh my
I kid you not, man. And I'll sit down on the side of the hill because I'm gassed and sweating from every orifice on my body, and just take in a foxtail for 20 minutes and go, I'm wired different. And just knowing I'm wired different, but I'm good. No different than that guy that just needs a quick drink, or if he just needs a whatever.
Right.
I'm that guy with a little bit of dust in my lungs.
No, I get it, man, because it's the river for me. It's putting my feet in the muddy river, just watching the water go by. So I get it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. No, it's special, man. It's special and it's hard. It's hard to articulate, right? It's either in you or it ain't.